I kind of want to like go off on the Twitter aspect of it and kind of talk about how social media has impacted, this sort of revolution versus the revolutions of past, and kind of how you see it progressing so much for educating people, but you also see that divide like so evident in Twitter with keyboard warriors, and they don't have a say whatever they feel just to cause a ruckus or whatever, but at the same time you do see it kind of progressing movements forward. So I just want to talk about kind of like social media impact on everything.
Yeah, I mean, social media has been kind of a game changer, and the internet period has been a game changer. In many ways, it's allowed, if we're talking about athletes in particular, sort of my area, it's allowed athletes to have really their own voice apart from, their clubs, apart from, newspapers that may kind of take their words and put them into a particular context. If you're somebody like LeBron James, who has, one of the highest Twitter account followers on the planet, if there's something you want to say, you can say it, and it's going to be out there a lot easier than it would be if you were having to go through your club or whatever the case may be. But social media is certainly it's a Frankenstein, right? It does some very good things. It allows me, for instance, to connect to scholars throughout the country who all study kind of very similar things, right? So, if I ever have an idea that I want to talk about or thinking about, I can blast it out on Twitter story and get a really good feedback from folks. So it's allowed, me to network and other professionals and things like that. But you're right. On the other hand, there's the sort of trolls, the folks that, are not interested in pushing any kind of dialogue or discussion forward in a positive way. And there's also sort of the jump to judgment a lot of times with social media. Somebody will sort of post something that's not entirely true, and it'll get sort of a viral following, only to come to find out that it was the wrong I remember there was a case about 2 weeks ago. It was in, I'll say it was Maryland. There was a guy on a bicycle who was taking a sign away from a kid, snatching it out of her hand or something. And at first they identified the wrong person on that, so that person was getting phone calls and, dealing with all kinds of harassment. I'll come to find out it wasn't even the right guy. So, it's a tough world with Twitter and Facebook. And the question is always, where do you sort of draw that line, right? I mean, the free speech is sort of, obviously you can say whatever you want to say and you're not going to be arrested for the most part, right? But the government, but you certainly can be fired from your job, right? You certainly can deal with consequences for what you say on social media, and it's hard. I mean,